It's the RFM Friday morning. We've got a guest from Princebuild. We've got Mark Asplin, one of the directors. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Kev.
And we've also got Richard from Helping Our Ukrainian Friends. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, Kev. How are you?
Very well. This time last week, I was chatting to Matthew Pudney, one of the directors, who mentioned a little bit about the group, Helping Our Ukrainian Friends. And Mark, I don't know whether your ears were burning, but you were mentioning quite a bit about your passion for wanting to help this incredible group.
Yes.
Let's remind ourselves a little bit about who Helping Our Ukrainian Friends are and what your ambitions are as a group.
Yeah, thanks very much, Kevin. Great to be back. Thanks for all your continued support. We are just a group of friends ourselves. We're not an organisation. We have been supporting Ukraine since day one of the war. We were out delivering aid 3 weeks after the Russian invasion, and since then we've just kept going and raised more money, made more contacts. We will be making our 20th trip to the area this year in about a month's time, which Mark will talk about. We've delivered more than 100 tons of aid, raised over £350,000. Delivered, generators, Chromebooks, hospital equipment. We sent a hospital bed on our last trip. So it's a group of people who are just determined to continue to support Ukraine through thick and thin.
I remember when you introduced me to somebody who used to live in Ukraine as the war broke out. She was one of hundreds of thousands of people who had to leave their homes, and she ended up settling just outside Peterborough.
That's right.
And then she became a member of this group, didn't she?
Yes, indeed, and she's going to be coming and driving out again with us this year. She still lives in Stamford, still in that terrible dilemma about, is it safe to go back? Do I go back to my home or do I stay here? And that's the crisis that so many Ukrainians are facing, and we do our best to engage as many of the Ukrainians who live in Peterborough in our work as well.
Fantastic. And Mark, as a director of Princebuild, Matthew mentioned last week the target of £50,000 has been put out there for you as a business to try and raise, to give to Helping Our Ukrainian Friends. Why is it so important to you to want to support this group?
Well, I obviously the war has been going on now for 3 years, and we raised £30,000 last year, and I just want to better it this year, I suppose.
And you've been there. You've seen where this money and where this aid goes. You've seen the impact and the difference it can make to so many people who are affected by this conflict.
I have, yes. I haven't actually been into the Ukraine. I've been to near the border to summer camp with the children and widows, etc. And the year before, we took out a load of Easter boxes for the children, orphans, and it was just really humbling to see how they appreciate it and what we do. It's just lovely to go out there and do something for these people that are really suffering, and just just people like me and you just suffering on a day-to-day basis, just absolute nightmare.
But going there and meeting those impacted by it, Ukrainian people who've perhaps fled their own country over the border into Poland, seeing them smile because of what you're giving them, I know is incredibly powerful. We'll come on to when you're next out there in a minute, but I just wondered, Richard, with Princebuild saying £50,000 is our target this year, knowing that money almost certainly is coming in, what can you as a group then plan?
Well, let me just start by saying, I think if there were more Princebuilds in the world, it'd be a much better place. I mean, what a company. Listening to Matthew last week and the stuff they do, not just for us, it really is an example to us all and to all companies. So we are indebted to Princebuild, and we know our Ukrainian friends. They know all about them. They've seen the Facebook posts. They followed the Princebuild Facebook as well.
And of course, the Princebuild logo was on the vans that have been out there.
Absolutely. So we couldn't do anywhere near as much as we have done last year without them. But it's not just that they give us the support, but it's Mark's coming out with me on our next trip. Matthew and Dale are coming out in the summer. They're kind of really invested in this. But what it has meant is that because of their fundraising commitment, we're not scratching around and thinking, can we do that next trip? We're able to plan with certainty. We're able to tell our charity partners. So just yesterday, I was able to tell one of our charity partners that we've got a £3,000 donation for them coming in March and another one in June. That means they can plan 4 field kitchens on just off the front line. So soldiers coming off the front line have got food, and the communities that are still living in that area have got food. So 4 of them planned, just because we can make that commitment now rather than wait and hope that we might be able to do it almost, on a day-to-day basis. So that's the certainty that Princebuild have given us.
And as well as the food and the gifts for children, and urgent medical supplies, there has been some fairly unusual things that has been taken out there, right? I mean, did you mention a few minutes ago a hospital bed?
Yes, on our last trip, one of the members of the group, I don't know where he got it from, but he managed to find a full operational hospital bed, so we got that on the back of a lorry. We also got a lot of donations on our last trip in December of musical instruments. You'd think, really? But actually, they have now all arrived in an orphanage in Sumy, just this side of the Russian border, about 20 kilometres from the border, regularly attacked. And we've seen pictures of the kids playing these instruments, making music, and getting just maybe a flicker of a smile back into their lives. So, amazing things.
So there's 2 trips planned in for 2025. And back to you, Mark. So you're not going on the summer one, you're going on the March one.
They're correct, bit of a sore subject really. We had our usual meeting in the pub, and I found out that I'd double booked for the visit that I've done the last 2 years. So I thought I had to do something, so I signed up to this one in a couple of weeks' time, much to my family's disappointment and my wife, but wife's okay now. I've upped my will, so she's happy. So.
That's brilliant. I mean, on a serious note, but somehow with a smile, I mean, there is danger when you're heading out to this place. I mean, even if you don't go into Ukraine itself, just going to the border will carry its dangers. But this time around, you're actually going into Ukraine.
Yeah, we're going to Kyiv, so the capital. I was a little bit worried about it, but Richard told me that the road conditions and the drivers out there are far worse than the Russian bombs and drones, so I'm okay. I'm happy with that.
Do you want to expand on that, Richard?
Well, first of all, let me just say, we do take security very seriously, and we will review everything, right up to the last minute. So we are very much planning, everything's booked, everything placed for us to get to Kyiv. But we don't take these things lightly, and we do have good advice from our Ukrainian partners. But no, the point I was making to Mark is actually the roads from Bucharest to Kiev are pretty hairy. It's a 3-lane motorway, if you know what I mean. Not 3 lanes on each side, but 1 lane on each side and 1 in the middle that you just take your chance on. So, yeah. So you really have to be no sleeping at the wheel at all, I can tell you. So yeah, we'll take care.
Despite the obvious fear of the safety aspect, and your family are going to be worried when you're out there, there must also be in you, Mark, a pride that you're doing this and a big motivation to want to go out there again, because this is something that you really, really care about.
Of course, yeah, and I've said many a time that how important it is to me to do my best for Ukrainians, and
so bring it on.
Yeah.
What date are you out there? What's the date of the trip?
So we fly out on Thursday, the 13th of March, from Stansted to Bucharest.
And then it's that road.
I think we're all right overnight. So I think we're meeting up with Sustain Ukraine, partners of Help Our Ukrainian Friends, and we're going to pick up 2 4-wheel drives that have been brought with donations from local businesses, etc. Those 4-wheel drives we're going to drive to Kiev, and they'll be used to pick up injured people, ferry around supplies, that sort of thing.
Well, I wish you well with it. Now, before we finish this conversation, Mark, I'm sure you'll join me in wishing congratulations to a certain Mr. Richard, sat with us in the PCR studios this morning. Now, when I first saw this, I was like, that is so well deserved. In the New Year's Honours list, Richard was awarded the British Empire Medal.
I was.
What did you make of that?
I was thrilled.
Did it come as a surprise?
Yeah, it came as a complete surprise. I knew about 3 weeks before, but it was just a letter through the post. So I was thrilled and very grateful to everybody who nominated me. And it's very special. But I think it's just a reflection of everybody's hard work. And there's so many people like Mark, like Matthew, others, who just do so much in the community. So for me to get that award makes me feel very proud, but it also makes me very clearly conscious of all the hard work so many people do.
Okay, well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Keep up the amazing work that you and your colleagues in helping our Ukrainian friends are doing, and enjoy your trip to Kyiv if you possibly can.
Thank you,
Mark,
Kev.
I appreciate you coming in. Mark from Princebuild and Richard from Helping Our Ukrainian Friends. And we'll keep the conversation going next Friday. We're going to be joined again by Matthew Pudney and his fellow director, Dale, who's going to be in with us next week as well, as we keep this conversation going with Princebuild and PCR FM.